Okay, so right now we are ready for the part 2 of our power sleeves, our 8-up editions. This particular one we're doing today, I really like it. I'm so glad to teach it finally. A couple of people have seen me wear it. They've seen it on my runways. A couple have seen it in my pictures and asked me questions. So finally the tutorial is out. It is so beautiful. It's so classy. You can see in the picture and the video scroll running by that it is really something you want to work on. And especially if you love working on jackets, oh my, you will love it. If you're working on jackets or dresses or anything, it depends on whatever you're working on is up to you. But this is one sleeve I like. To start with, we're going to start with our basic bodice as always. In this time now when you're drafting your patterns, I'll advise you leave some inches up here. Leave some inches up here. No, it could be 3, it could be 4. Let me see what we want to leave. I'll probably leave 2.5. I will not even use up to that, but I will just leave 2.5 inches up here because we have to take this sleeve, I call it up and out. So there are 2 ways of working on this sleeve. Like I said, we'll be having 2 pattern alterations on our normal pattern. We're going to alter it up and we're going to alter it out. We'll be working with our basic bodice and we'll be needing our basic sleeve pattern. So 2 things to work with to achieve this power up sleeve. We'll be modifying our shoulder lines. And like I said, here I'll be leaving, I think I'm going to be leaving 2.5 inches here, which is very okay. Then I'll be using a mini pattern. Let's say the shoulder is 7, is 14, so divided by 2 is 7. And let's say the armhole depth. If you're making a jacket with allowance with buttons, remember to leave your button allowance on the center fold. Don't forget, if you're making a jacket with an open jacket, then you do not need to leave any allowance here. You just line it in if you want a jacket to have like a bit of open in the chest region. But if you want it to be close together, you can add ½ inch so that when you do your lining, the ½ inch goes in and the edges will meet at the center. But if you want something open that you want your camisole or your inner to show, you can actually even take away from the center fold to give you that wide opening. So whichever works for you is just fine. The armhole depth I'll be using in this sample, I'll probably use, let me say 6.5 because I'm making a miniature pattern. First, let me see, I'm going to be using 32 plus 1 inch, that is 9. I'm not going to be creating darts because it's a sample. I don't have to be creating darts, but you know you have to create your darts. Either you're using the regular darts, and I'll do half, so I'm going to work on 13 inches as the length here. When you make your sample, you do the full body version, or you create a short sample like I'm creating first to see the outcome before you create your main garment. If you're doing your pattern, remember the darts you want to use. You probably want to use the pointed darts or you want to use the style lines. Whatever works for you is fine. It's fine. I'm not going to be putting darts. Let me repeat that once again so we get this clear. So we create our armhole curve from here to here. So our armhole goes thus. If you don't want your armhole to be deep, you can just adjust this. You get the gist. If you want it to be deep, you take it in. If not, you straighten your ruler to create it, or you can use your free hand. I use free hand a lot. And when I use free hand, let me teach you the gimmick I use. I create a straight line this way. Then I create another line this way. Then I draw a curve which looks like this, and I bring it in a little bit in here sometimes. If I want my sleeve to be really edgy, like this kind of sleeve we're doing today, if I want it to be really full, I'm not going to follow this line. I'm just probably going to take this all the way straight up here. Like from here, then I'll straighten it up here, which is okay. A neckline, don't let's forget, is very important before you draft the sleeve, because the sleeve drafting starts from the shoulder line, then it goes to the sleeve. Let me just do a 2.5 by 3 inches or 3.5 inches. Don't forget, I am just using random measurement. There's nothing accurate about this measurement. I'm just using something very random. So usually this should slant down, but this time around we're taking it up. How up, it depends on you, and there are 2 ways to take it up. We can either make it straight or give it a little bit of a curve to make it really something different, you know. So now to point it out here, let's just take 1 inch to point it out. Then the 1 inch, you can take it up a little bit. You don't have to like, then from here, instead of this going down, whatever you want. I have 2.5 excess, so I'm not going to be using everything up. Just use 1.5. I don't want to use 1.5, more than 1.5 for the sample. Okay, so you have this going on this way. You see the funny thing, instead of it's going down, it is going up. That is one. Now this part is, as you're coming, you pick a part of your sleeve. Remember the armhole notch we had on the other one. Then to give it some accuracy, try to maybe use your curve, use your curved ruler. So from here, voila, that is it. That is beautiful. So from here, from any point of your armhole curve, armhole notch, you take it up to the point you have here. Now it's looking exactly the way I want it to look. The other way you can do it is if you want to give it some little bit of fancy, instead of having it straight, you just have it look like, you get this. This is like a little bit of curved flip, like it's curved up. You stick to anyone, either you have the one that curves up or you have the one that goes straight up. Both are beautiful. Then you do this. I'll not be creating the back because it's the same thing. I don't want to waste too much of our time. When you do this, then the back is the same thing. The only difference is the back neckline is higher. So you have your back neckline just a little bit dropped, whatever you want, then it's still the same thing. If you're drafting the type that you want your back, you don't have to raise your back a little bit the way we're doing some jackets, because if you do, it's going to alter the sleeve pattern and you're going to be having it moving somehow funny. So just stick to the regular same armhole, same shoulder line measurement, same length, and just reduce the neckline here is, of course, the back is higher than the front neckline. Create the same thing, follow the same pattern here, and cut out. That's final. So for the sleeve, what do? You measure what you have from this point A, to the end here, point B. What you have is, let's try and follow. When you're using your tape pro to measure, you bend your tape pro. You bend till you have accurate measurements. You can see the way I'm holding it down when I'm bending. I'm not just bending like this. No, you are bending like you're holding it down to check. Okay, so we are sticking to the black line. This is like a second example. So I'm going to be here. Then I'm going to bend in. If you're not sure, use your hand to hold it or use something to hold it down. You keep on folding. If you have a flexible ruler, good. You have 9.5. If you have a flexible ruler, you just bend, but be sure whatever you do, you are accurate. Then let's go back to the sleeve. I'll be drafting the sleeve just right beside it, so we don't have to take too much patterns off. You have your armhole divided into 2. You remember this template to use the other time. I still have it. That's why I say always keep your patterns. They are always useful. You have your arm measurement divided by 2. You have it here. You have the length, whatever length you want. You want the long sleeve, you want the short sleeve. Now remember we had 9.5 here. So let's say, I think this is going to be bigger, but let me just, so what you have is from here, you're going to create, oh, this looks very good. Okay, so you have your normal, I can actually create another sleeve if I don't want to use this template to make it clearer to some people. So you don't think, what did I measure there? Or this is center fold for my sleeve. And I want to use the sleeve length. Let me see, I'm going to be using from here to here. From here to here as a sleeve length. Then the arm measurement, let's say for this person, I'll be using, let me say 7 and 7, 14, then plus 1, that is 8. It gives me 8. So that is like the center fold. Yep. Meaning like, I'm trying to calculate here to here. Okay, so you get what I'm trying to do now. It's almost the same thing. So you have it divided. Now, the height of your sleeve is, let me say, whatever you have. Let's say the normal height of your sleeve is 8. If this is 8, okay, this is very good. If that part is 8, that's the normal height of your sleeve. The same way this has an extension, this is going to have an extension. So what you do basically is, you know, usually, let me drop this faintly, the armhole looks like this, or something like that. So whatever this stops, or you can use your template to measure where that stops. Then 9.5 that we have here, you're going to bring it here. 9.5, then drag it all the way up. So it stops here. It stops here. So from here to here. That's our 9.5. There is nothing, no big deal. You don't have to have any curve. If you want to have a curve like we had the other time, you can have it. But I'd rather use this. This is what I use every time I make it. I just drop this straight, and there I have. Because if I do this, I may have it a little bit tight here. But if I do this, this ease is added, and this gives me very, very sharp points here. When you join this together, that is how your sleeve is going to appear, like you see in the picture. This is a mini sample I made. This is not so pointy, just a simple thing to see how it goes. And when you're joining this sleeve together, you join the shoulder line first, then you open and you join the sleeve. Or if you're lining, if you're going to turn it into one another, is the same thing. Make sure your armhole aligns and the pointy parts of this part aligns with the pointy part of your bodice. It's important. So if you want to join from this part all the way down, like here to the front and here to the back, decide. If you want to insert the sleeve and join from armhole all around, make sure you pin it around first before you sew. So you don't have this pointy part and this pointy part shifting. It must align to give you that perfect looking result. To all of you who sent me pictures and videos of the first pro of the other project, thank you. I'll be looking forward to seeing and getting more feedbacks from all of you. This is one sleeve you will like again, so let's make some magic. See you in the next video.